Hi, so today we are finishing the binding the journal. We have the covers done and the inside sheets are done and glued on one edge. We already have established a back. I always stamp one side. The covers had been sitting under weight since earlier today, so now I'm just going to crease the spine. And this is actually a new cover version that I am starting to put out, where it has a double bend, which will allow the cover to easily hover open on its own, where before it would automatically shut unless you were holding it open. So we'll take the second cover here and just get those creases in. Okay, so since this is going to kind of act like the back in this case, I'm just gonna put that aside. And I always use a clear ruler so that I can see through for my measurements. And I line it up, I eyeball it, and from here I bend the cover as if I'm opening it to help guide me on where the hole should be from top to bottom. Make sure you can see that. So basically what I'm looking for is, as I open the cover, I just want this obviously to appear as straight as possible. And sometimes it takes just a little bit of movement here. And I think that is pretty good. So from there, I indicate where I want to punch by using my awl. I create little holes there for guidance. I already have my glove, and now I have my hole punch. So yes, I am still punching holes by hand. Every single journal is done like this. I have seen videos where there is a drill, well, not a drill, but I think it's some sort of device that you can kind of like use a dial and it will go through. So that looked really good and like something I could eventually try to look into doing, because in that case I wouldn't have to do the covers separately and the paper separately. I could just line it all up, put it all together, and in one shot I can take care of all the holes. So now that we have our first set of holes done, I take the back cover and I line that up. Got corner to corner here. And punch the holes through, because now what that does is give me an indicator here, and then I push through further, because then what's going to happen is it's going to push through to the other side. That's going to give me a new guideline on where to punch. Okay, so I know it might be a little bit tough to see that, but like here you can see the indent now here. So that's my guide. So even I can't believe, I mean, I've had, what was my largest order I think was maybe 50, and I had to do this for all 50. And that was a rare occurrence, of course, but it does get a little overwhelming. But the key that I have found, and which I figured out kind of early, was to batch the process. So we've got both covers done now. Both have holes. Now the final step in punching is lining up the paper. So the reason why it is so useful, and I don't remember who now I learned this from, but it's so useful to cut your paper, and I actually glue the edge so that when I am punching holes, the paper is not moving all over the place. So I'm lining up where I want the paper to sit, making sure that it is in a nice place over the holes. Putting the other cover on top here. Making sure it's all looking good. Appears to be even. And again, just creating some indicators here. Okay. So now we have where we're going to punch the paper. When I first started out, I was actually using about 50 sheets of paper. I had gotten that idea from someone that I followed online based on what they were doing. But one of the reviews of their books was that someone said their paper was too thin and that they didn't like that. And my paper that I've used has always, I want to say always, has been heavyweight drawing paper. I can't remember using anything else. So that was a big indicator for me where, one, no wonder they used 50 sheets, and two, no wonder why my first hole puncher broke, because it was just too much weight, too many sheets, and it became too thick to punch by hand with that tool that you just saw. So over time, I think I went down to maybe, I don't know if I started first at 45 sheets. Just a quick pause. Now we're ready to bind everything together. So this is our hemp cord, and we count the length of, or the width I should say, 5 times to make sure we have enough. So I don't know if I went down to 45 sheets or 40, but I came to discover that somewhere between 35 and 40 was perfect. It was perfect for my hands, because my hands were killing me in the beginning, which brought on the glove. And I got that punching tool. This is my second one in the 2.5 years that I've been making journals, and so far it has not broke. So I think we're at a good number now, and with the heavyweight drawing paper, it's perfect. It's a really nice look at the 35 to 40 sheets. The 40 sheets usually comes in with the small list journals, just because of trying to save paper. You know, the way I need to count out the sheets that I need to cut down, it just works out where 40 is the number on those, and you get 35 for the medium and the large journals. So it looks really good. With the weight of the paper, it serves a really great purpose, and yeah, I haven't heard any complaints. I don't think anyone has an issue with it. Unfortunately, what I do hear a lot is that people are not using them because they're too pretty to use, which I get it. I guess it turns out to be more of a decorative item because it's not something that you see in the store, which is a major thing that I like to emphasize. No stationery stores, if there's really any left in your area, are stocking anything that looks like this. You may see fabric journals, which is rare, but if you do, it's not hand bound in this style. I feel pretty good saying I guarantee that. So people are probably like, you know, and plus the fabric runs out, so it's like, oh, it's very unique. You may never be able to replicate it, which is true, which is another plus to my work, is that it's very, you know, exclusive. There's no more than 10 to 12 of the same journal, same size, same binding style, made by me in the world, the entire world. Again, made by me. I mean, who's to say my doppelganger isn't out there somewhere doing the same exact type of work that I am, but this version of me. You know, we're gonna get mystical and fantastical here, which I do love to do. So I'm in a bit of a pickle right now with this thread, which happens sometimes because sometimes I end up going through the thread when I think I'm going through a hole. Okay, I think I got it now. I may not have it. Yeah, I may have to bring this back out maybe. Yeah, sometimes it goes through itself because I can't see. Yeah. Okay. All right, perfect. So I just like to kind of turn it over to make sure that there's no slack in the thread. Sometimes there has been. This is my chance to catch it. Just make sure there's no extra here. I think, okay. That's good. Okay, so where we started, that's where we get that second loop through. So we're gonna tie this now. Okay. And I usually tie at least twice, maybe 3 times. See, in this case 2 looks good because I like to kind of see if the knot is kind of covering that hole pretty well, and if it is, that's pretty good. So from here at the very end, I do go back in and fill the holes with a little bit of glue. In my head, which I don't know, this could just be some placebo, but I feel like it helps keep the thread in place just a little bit better. Okay. And I saved the knot for last. Now, there used to be a time where I would do this part, which you see me doing right now, and I'm like, okay, we're all good to go, done. And then when I would go pack it, I would see this side, and what happened was, because I was pushing it down here, it would actually come back out on this side. So like I'm trying to pack it and I see slack and I'm like, oh, what the heck? So I realized over time that I have to go back and check the back side as well, and I may have to tuck again, but in this case it looks like we didn't create any extra slack here. This is where sometimes I would have some of it kind of hanging all of a sudden when I know I checked it. So I'm kind of torn. Like, I'm in a weird place right now with this final knot. Like, when I first started, I used to tuck it in. Then I saw a style where a little bit is left out, you know, it's like, I don't know if you can see, oh, there you go. It's kind of out like that, which I think it does look unfinished, but it looks crafty, I think. But I know one of my customers, when they get the books, I think they end up tucking it in. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna, I think for this one I might leave it. I have been tucking some of them in, some of them I haven't. I think it just depends how I feel sometimes. So this one's done. This is ready to go. At this point, even though the covers were sitting on wait for hours before I did this process, somewhere during the punching the holes and the binding, it starts to kind of curve again. So at this point, I'm going to leave it under weight for the rest of the night now, and when I come back in the morning, this is all flat. There's no like little bit of space of a lift here. And that's it. It's ready to go, packed up, and for the customer. So I'll just take one last look at the final binding here. And there's actually a large size of this on my Instagram. I love this fabric. This fabric is beautiful, and all the Japanese designs in one. You really can't get any better than this. And I'm so excited for them to receive. Thanks for watching.